the right-hander, 36 years of age, and this is a Blue Jays team that has been shut out 2 consecutive games.
Yeah, they're running into some very tough pitching right now. The guys are not producing for them, I think, partly because they were bound to cool off at some point, but also they've been running into some ridiculous starting pitching on this road trip alone. We saw Anibal Sanchez to start the whole thing off. He was the 2013 earned run crown, ERA crown winner. Then we saw Price, he's a 5-time All-Star. Verlander, he's a 6-time All-Star. We also saw some Cy Young Award winners, some MVPs. Chris Sale's a 4-time All-Star. We saw him on this road trip. Even today's starter, Chris Young, was an All-Star back in 2007. Tomorrow, Volquez pitched in the All-Star game. All told, they face 2 Cy Young Award winners, an MVP, a Rookie of the Year, and 18-time All-Stars just in the starting rotations that they have faced so far on this road trip. So it's just bound that the lineup is going to get cooled off a little bit.
Pitching has been there for John Gibbons. Can this lineup on a Saturday come through for him offensively? Jose Reyes, the shortstop, to lead things off. He has a 6-game hit streak, batting .276 during that stretch with 2 doubles and 3 RBIs. Russell Martin last night was a designated hitter, and today he is behind the plate. The reason why they DH'd him last night, and he has tore up Chris Young, the right-hander, throughout his career.
Huge numbers right there. That's the lineup for the Blue Jays. And one other point that I think we have to make about the Blue Jays, I think the reputation of as a great offensive team is preceding them. I think everybody wants to throw their A game against the Blue Jays. They have to bear down because they know how tough they are offensively.
Kansas City takes the field here on this Saturday as Chris Young, the right-hander out of Princeton University, gets set for his 19th start.
He's made 13 starts this year and 18 appearances for the Kansas City Royals. There's his record, 7-4 with a .289 earned run average. He was the AL Comeback Player of the Year, named by that last season when he was a member of the Seattle Mariners. He was named by Major League Baseball and the Sporting News. Last year he went 12-9. His only season with Seattle. This year the same thing. He was signed late by the Kansas City Royals on March the 7th, came to spring training, made this team, and I think it's a very good fit in this ballpark with this team. He's a fly ball type of pitcher, throws a lot of fastballs up in the strike zone, and he's doing a heck of a job for him. He's holding opponents to a .202 average, which is the 5th lowest among American League pitchers, with at least 80 innings, and he's making his 4th career start on just 3 days rest.
The defense, Paolo Orlando in left, and that moves Gerard Dyson to center. Lorenzo Cain gets a day off in right field. Former Blue Jay Alex Rios. Around the horn, Moustakas, Escobar, Infante, and Hosmer for the Royals, and the battery, Young and Drew Butera, the catcher.
Yeah, this is a good defense right here. That's Alcides Escobar. He's the first cousin of Kelvin Escobar, the former Blue Jay, if you remember him. He played in all 162 games last season. He has started 75 of now 85 games for this Kansas City Royal team. He was a finalist for the Gold Glove a couple of years ago at 213. Not flashy, very steady. If the ball's hit to him, it's usually going to be an out.
Right-hander backs away off of the mound and looks around as Escobar is having a conversation with Jim Wolf back at the second base bag, and now everybody is set for baseball. Moustakas in on the grass, and the big right-hander deals, and the pitch is a called strike. Ron Kolpa works the plate. Adrian Johnson at third, Jim Wolf at second, and the crew chief Jerry Meals is at first base. On the ground and one away here in the top of inning number 1.
Those are the type of pitchers right there, that high fastball. He'll cut it at times, but you have to lay off that. You got to really set your sights low, I think, against Chris Young.
Josh Donaldson, the All-Star, makes his way to the batter's box. Royals won the first game 3-0. Blue Jays had their opportunities. They stranded 8 last night. An opportunity in the second. Runners in scoring position, as well as in the 4th and in the 7th and also in the 8th, and unable to produce a run. Swing and a miss.
Lots of strikes from Chris Young. He's going to be around the plate. I talk about him being a good fit. Here, this is a big, expansive ballpark. He's a fly ball type of pitcher. You've got speed in the outfield. Just throw it up there and try and keep it in the ballpark.
On the ground to the right side, scooped up by Infante, 2 down. You mentioned that Chris Young was an all-star. He was an all-star back in 2007. He was a San Diego Padre. And what kind of ballpark do they have there? A big one.
A big ballpark, and so was Seattle last year. The scouting report for Chris Young, he'll use that fastball just about 60% of the time. And note the miles per hour. It's not very fast, just 86 miles an hour. Mixes in a slider and a changeup. With that high fastball, and again, it's not a blazer, he will give up his share of home runs. He's given up 20 last season off the fastball.
Bautista had a multi-hit game last night. He came through in the 8th inning with 1 away. He doubled down the left field line. However, he was stranded there. It was his first multi-hit game since July 2nd, when the Blue Jays lost to Boston 12-6. He was 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. He's been struggling as of late. Does last night get him going? The right-hander with a 1-2 pitch. Chopped off the end of the bat. Barehanded. Flipped over to first base. And that'll do it. A 1-2-3 inning. We head to the bottom of the 1st here on this Saturday. Saturday, Eric Hosmer, the first baseman, had a 4-hit game last night. 8th career 4-hit game. They changed an error that was originally given to Josh Donaldson, and they changed it to a hit during the game last night. Alex Rios, a former Blue Jay, against the Blue Jays, hitting .287. And it's Burley on the hill.
Mark gets ready for his 18th start of the season. Look at those sterling numbers. 9-5 with a .338 earned run average. He was magnificent in his last start.
Swinging at the first pitch. Escobar drives it deep. And it's going to be a ground rule double. A ground rule double to right center field. Swinging at the first pitch just like last night. Behind Mark Burley in the outfield, Carrera, Pilar, and Bautista. The infield on this Saturday, Donaldson, Reyes, Jose Reyes, and then on the right side, Devin Travis, And Justin Smoke, the battery, Mark Burley and Russell Martin. Moustakas takes a pitch outside.
I think outfield play is going to be very important today. You saw it on that first pitch. Kevin Pillar, so important because there's so much room in the outfield here. Mark Burley will give up his share of fly balls. We might see the outfielders very busy this afternoon.
Squaring to bunt, drags it down the first base line, past the diving Burley, scooped up by Travis, and a runner down at third base.
Well, Mark Burley has won his share of Gold Gloves, and he was pouncing off that mound trying to get this ball, but it's out of his reach. It will go as a sacrifice bunt as Moustakas moves that runner up after the leadoff double, gets it by Burley. Travis finishes it off, but he accomplishes the job he set out to do, move that runner up to third base.
Kendrys Morales is hitting in the 3-hole today. Last night batted fifth, the switch hitter, and the first pitch misses low. He is fifth in the American League in runs driven in. Last night he was hitless, Tabby, and he had opportunities. Blue Jays pitchers did a solid job. Run's going to score easily from third base. There are two away here. And the bottom of inning number 1 as Escobar scores.
Let's take a look at the scouting report for Mark Burley. You're going to get a little bit of everything from Mark. He's going to use that cutter, I think, to his advantage, and it's been a good one of late. Fastball 50% of the time, but you combine that with the cutter, that forms the same type of pitch. That's 68% of the time. A great changeup. He'll use it to lefties and he'll use it to righties. And right now, Mark Burley, I think the key for him, Mark, has been able to keep the ball in the ballpark. He's only given up 1 home run in his last 36 innings. Coming into this game, that home run hit by Prince Fielder against Texas.
Hosmer, as we mentioned, had a 4-hit night. He lined the ball off of Estrada in the first inning, and Estrada was able to continue to work the game, and he pitched extremely strong, worked 6 2/3 innings as Hosmer flies out to left field. It's 1-0 Royals. Let's go to the second.
'15 Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Kansas City here on this Saturday. And the Royals lead 1-0. They own the best record in the American League, 51-33. With their victory last night. Encarnacion, then Smoke, and Martin here in the top of the second inning. Chris Young worked a 1-2-3 inning, and all the putouts involved Infante. Check swing, rolled out to Escobar, and there's one away. Let's go to Barry Davis. Barry?
Thanks a lot, guys. And it is Kansas City, and we know it's supposed to be hot this time of year, but this is exceedingly warm even for Kansas City. If you can see the thermometer that I have in my hand here, it is reaching 100 degrees Fahrenheit down on the field. Now, the Blue Jays are obviously doing what they can to stay hydrated by drinking lots of water. You'll also see at times today players putting towels over their head. What's in that is ammonia water, and the ammonia helps them pretty much stay alert and also stay hydrated. So it's going to be a really difficult day for both teams out on the field, not to mention me, guys.
The one positive is that there is a breeze, and while it's a warm breeze, at least it's a breeze as Smoke takes a pitch down and in. He was a pinch hitter last night. Now, you played here when there was AstroTurf.
You want to talk about hot.
Tell them about the story with your cleats when when you come off the field.
Well, it was so hot on the AstroTurf that the metal in your spikes would get so hot they would actually burn your feet as you stood out there in July and August, and they would have ice buckets that you would be able to come in and cool your feet off in between innings. You'd stick them down in there and cool off that metal spike because it would get so hot it would actually burn your feet. And we used to get all over Bob Boone because he was the catcher here, Mike McFarland, and said, you don't have to deal with this. You're standing on the dirt. He says, but I got all the equipment on.
That's a good point. Strike 3 on the inside corner. 5 up, 5 down.
Boy, they are really jamming up Justin Smoke, trying to keep that ball inside. There's that little cutter. And it looks like it's high enough, and it looks like it gets plenty of the plate. Chris Young, again, the comeback player of the year last year when he was with Seattle, and it was a free agent. I don't know why Seattle didn't feel like they could sign him back, but another astute signing by the Kansas City Royals.
He's not going to overpower it despite his size. 11 years in the big leagues, didn't play in 2013, and a strike. Last year in Seattle, as you noted, he was 12-9 with a 3.65 ERA, made 29 starts. Former All-Star, originally selected in the 3rd round by the Pirates back in 2000. From Dallas, Texas, made his debut for his hometown team, the Texas Rangers, when he was 25 years old in 2004. Martin on the ground, and it's another 1-2-3 as that throw sailed a little bit on Infante. We go now to the home half of the second, with the Royals up 1-0.
where does he rank among active pitchers in innings pitched? CC Sabathia at 2921, Tim Hudson 3,095, and there's Mark Burley starting today at an even 3,200 innings in the big leagues, built on that great streak that he has had of consecutive 200 inning seasons for Mark Burley. He is a guy that you can depend on, and you know he's going to make his starts.
Last 8 starts, 4-1 with a 1.80 ERA, and opponents batting just .219. 32 strikeouts and just 6 walks. And the veteran left-hander deals and right in the back of Alex Rios. So Rios is hit by a pitch to begin things here in the second. Last night he was 2 for 4. And you don't want to get too comfortable.
Fastball right on the back. And now Rios is a threat to steal, but Mark Burley's got the neutralizer with the great move.
Stole a base and scored in the 4th last night, did Alex Rios. Coming into this series hitting .228. And his average up to .235. There's a strike. He also hit in the 8th spot last night, and they move him up to the 5th spot in the order without Lorenzo Cain and Salvador Perez. Perez hit his 15th home run last night. Omar Infante, a high chopper back of the mound, scooped up. Travis over to first, not in time. Runners at first and second here.
Ball has not left the infield, and the Royals have something going here in the second inning. First and second and nobody out. This one right off of the top of home plate. A high ball and a no man's land, and really no chance for either Burley or Travis to make that play. And I think Devin's going to learn as he plays a little bit longer that you don't even make that throw right there. You don't even chance it that the ball could get by you. So the first 2 reach here.
Paulo Orlando is the hitter, the left fielder, with runners at first and second. A double in the first by Escobar, a sac bunt, and a ground ball produced their first run. They can manufacture runs. They are not known as an offensive-minded team as far as hitting the baseball out of the park.
No, but you're right. They do a good job of manufacturing runs. They take advantage of the speed that they have. They take advantage of this ballpark.
Lays one down. Burley looks at third and throws over to first base and just got him.
He can really run. Paulo Orlando. He was with the White Sox. And the Kansas City Royals picked him up to use that speed. Perfect bunt out in front of home plate. You've got to get an out. Burley fires it over to first base just in time. You see Orlando hustling down that line. He almost beats it out.
Drew Butera is the hitter, with runners at second and third. And the pitch is in there for a strike. Playing in his 27th game. And fouls this off to the right side.
I think you got to bring the corners in like the Blue Jays have. Cut that runoff at the plate. They've been having trouble scoring runs. They'll play the infield, at least in the middle of the diamond, back initially here.
Got him on the inside corner with a fastball. 2 down. And that's going to bring up Dyson.
That has been a golden pitch for Mark Burley. You got a couple runners on. Let's see if I can cut that fastball and freeze that right-handed batter, which he does, right on the inside part of the plate. First strikeout of the afternoon is a big one.
Can he get out of the inning here in the bottom of the second? Rios hit by a fastball on the first pitch. And Infante with an infield single, ground ball right back to Burley, and he gets out of the jam. And that's going to do it for the bottom of the second inning through 2 innings here in KC. 1-0 Royals. Let's go to the third.
Blue Jays. Enter the code MBJ4490. The entry box can be found on your My Blue Jays homepage. The code must be entered by 11:59 tonight. Look for a new code tomorrow.
Mark Burley gets out of a jam in the second. It's Pilar, Carrera, and Travis here in the top of the third to face Chris Young. Did a good job there.
A warm day. Both of these pitchers are 36 years old, so they have to minimize their pitches and minimize the time that they're out on that hot field. Get back into that dugout where you can cool off just a little bit. We'll see how long they can go. Last time out, again, Chris Young is working on 3 days rest. He pitched on Tuesday, game 1 of a doubleheader. They didn't stretch him out very far. He only threw 83 pitches through 6 innings. So at 36 years old, it'll be interesting to see how far he can go today.
At game time, it was 30. It has risen now to 37. Pilar takes a pitch high. Last night was 0 for 4. His average coming in at 275, 7 homers, 36 RBIs, and the pitch up and in, and a leadoff walk here for the Blue Jays. Chris Young in 2013 was out of the game, and he had right shoulder injury and discomfort, and he was dealing with it for a better part of 4 years. And as Young went to see doctors, one of them ultimately said, based upon what I see here, you have a pinched nerve in your neck, and that's what was causing the pain in his shoulder. He had surgery in his neck to fix the problem, and obviously he's been able to come back and continue his career. He was thinking about retiring based upon the shoulder issues that he was having. Pilar off and running. The throw is late, and a stolen base here with Carrera the batter.
You know what the Blue Jays will do, they will get the time watch, stopwatch out and time how long it takes the pitcher to deliver that ball. And their numbers suggest that it takes a while for Chris Young to get rid of the baseball. He's 6'10" and got a lot of arms and legs there, moving parts. Pilar steals that one. That's his 13th stolen base this year.
Ground ball to the right side. That's going to move Pilar over to third base.
Time for the Blue Jays to play a little small ball right there. A walk, a stolen base, and a ground ball to the right side. And now Devin Travis has a chance to drive in a run.
Had a chance with 2 outs in the second last night. Didn't deliver. In the fourth also had an opportunity. And then in the 7th inning, a double and an error on the center fielder Kane. And he went to third base. He was stranded there. Devin Travis has played well on this road trip. He's been one of the best rookies in the game. He's hitting .297, 7 home runs and 31 RBIs. Infield in, a swing and a miss. Butera fires down to third, diving back in Pilar.
Hey, be alive with Drew Butera behind the plate. He loves to throw that ball around. It's a perfect pitch to do that. A slider down and away. You see the runner just inching off a little bit, and Pilar heads up, gets back. You do that thinking that the runner might be trying to steal a run here.
In the air to shallow center field. Dyson coming on. Not deep enough. And a one-hop throw to home. And that keeps Pilar at third base. Reyes is the batter.
You know, just in case they go on contact, you try that pickoff play and you shorten up that lead. That time there was no chance for Pilar to try and score on that ball. Look, it sounded like he might have broke his bat. Wasn't hit very deep to center field.
Off the end of the bat. Swung on and driven down the right field line, curving foul. As Jose jumps on the first pitch.
He likes to do that with runners on base, and so Young took a little something off of that one.
Pitch is low and a count of 1-1 here. Turns on that one, and the count now 1-2. Blue Jays still without a hit. A walk, is stolen base, and a ground out finds Pilar at third. Jose awaits, and the pitch is high. And the count 2-2. Last time the Blue Jays scored was the 5th inning on a Wednesday night. And the pitch is high. It has been that long.
Yeah, they have not come up with a lot of clutch hits. And they haven't hit the ball out of the ballpark. So you can see a lot of zeros put up there. Pretty good at bat right here by Reyes, forcing Young to get that ball down.
The 3-2, and it's high, ball 4, and here comes Donaldson. So Donaldson, 0 for 1 is the batter.
Just would not swing at that ball. So a good at bat by Reyes. I would take off right now, try and steal a base.
Donaldson produced the last RBI for the Blue Jays in that 5th inning. in Chicago against the White Sox when he doubled and he scored. Travis, swing and a miss out in front of that one.
You know, that is what Josh has been seeing a lot of from Chris Young, a lot of off-speed pitches. He is 1 for 14 in his career off of Young. He's geared for the fastball, and he keeps throwing him that slow stuff.
Runners at the corners. The Blue Jays a game under 500 for the first time since June 8th. And a pitch is high when they were 29-30. They knew coming into this road trip how difficult it would be, and it's been that and more. A stretch of 16 of 19 away from Rogers Center. Jose running, and a ground ball to Escobar, and Escobar makes a throw to first, and that's going to do it. Unfortunately, the Blue Jays unable to come through. Let's go to the bottom of the third inning. It's 1-0 KC.
Bacardi. Friday, July 17th, it's the Blue Jays and Rays at 7:07. You'll want to get to the ballpark early that day because we'll have some pregame festivities going outside of Gate 10. The gates will open at 4:30 p.m. and you can enjoy a live performance from special guest Dean Brody in the license area. Go to BlueJays.com for details. And oh, what I wouldn't do for a nice cold beverage right now.
Hurley with a strike. You don't have anybody, Barry, that can get you one?
Come on up here.
Come on, we
got
have
one for you.
Yeah, we have some water up here.
I don't think you could have enough.
Ground ball off of the bat of Escobar and onto first base. And there's one down here in the bottom of the third inning. Moustakas sac bunt back in the bottom of the first eventually led to a run when Morales grounded out to Jose at short. Moustakas recorded his first career grand slam on July 2nd of 2012 at Toronto. Voted into the All-Star game, his first All-Star appearance, the third baseman. On the ground to Donaldson, to his left, spins around and gets him at first, and 2 down.
Did you see how many votes he got for that final fan vote? 19 million. Over 19 million.
Well, for a long time, as we all know, he was leading all of the third basemen before Josh Donaldson took over. Donaldson better than 14 million. Morales, and the pitch is high. And a 1-2-3 inning. on the ground to the shortstop, Jose Reyes. We go now to the fourth.
First 3 months. Find out how. Call 1-888-ROGERS-1. Matt?
The hot, steamy July Saturday here in Kansas City. See if the bats for the Blue Jays can get going. Bautista, Encarnacion, and smoke. Tabby, you have to go all the way back to August 24th through August 26th of 1990, the last time that the Blue Jays were shut out in 3 straight games. In those 3 games, the Red Sox outscored the Blue Jays 4-0. It's only happened twice in the history of the organization. The other time was May 13th through the 15th, 1981, involving Baltimore and Cleveland. So the odds obviously in favor of the Jays here.
I can understand the 81 team. They were only, what, that was their 4th or 5th year of existence. Just weren't the powerhouse that they've been.
This one down the left field line, curving foul.
The 90 team, I can't believe that, all the great stars they had on that team. And then this team, the offense that they have put up so far this year to be shut out, but it's a combination of the guys not getting good pitches to hit, running into good pitchers. That's a nice start right here in the 4th.
Pass a diving Escobar.
Save during the plumbing, cooling, and electrical expert sale. Only at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Encarnacion is the batter. And the pitch is a strike. Last time that he was able to come up with a base hit, he had 2 of them on Tuesday night in Chicago against Jose Quintana and Petrechka. And a toss over to first base. Diving back is Bautista.
That was close. Jose was leaning on that ball. He was anticipating Young going to home. Looked like he took a step towards second base and was almost picked off.
Young, the big right-hander, throws over to first base once again. Hosmer just looks at Bautista and tosses it back over to his right-handed pitcher. Encarnacion grounded out to Escobar at short in the 2nd. And a lead at first, and the pitch swung on, hit high in the air to deep left field. Orlando going back, reaching up, gone. Edwin Encarnacion puts the Blue Jays on the board.
That'll stop the streak right there. Blue Jays say we'll have enough of that. Told you that Chris Young likes to throw the fastball up in the zone, high up in the zone, and he will give up his share of home runs, 20 of them last year off the fastball. Now they get Encarnacion. A pitch that is up, and he gets it out in front. Looked like it might have been an off-speed pitch, and it's a long fly ball to left field. Encarnacion puts the Blue Jays on top with that home run.
Blue Jays lead now 2-1. Justin Smoke looks at a strike. Of course, this is the last time that the Blue Jays have led, dating back to that Wednesday night in Chicago when they led 6-4, swing and a miss, and then it was tied up in the bottom of the 6th inning. LaRoche and Alexi Ramirez coming through.
This is Edwin's 18th game in this ballpark, his 4th home run. You know, it's not really a home run hitter's type of ballpark, but Edwin certainly enjoys it.
Smoke, swing and a miss, and he strikes out. He has struck out twice today. Edwin's first home run since Canada Day, and that was against Boston. His 18th of the season, and a pair of RBIs, and it feels good for the Blue Jays as they lead now 2-1 here in the 4th. And we talked about this yesterday, the importance of getting at the starters of the Royals. If there is a weakness, it could be with some of their starters, and look, they have slight weakness. As soon as you turn it over to the bullpen, it's lights out.
Yeah, I don't think there's a perfect team in baseball.
Right.
Not this year. So if there's an Achilles heel, and we'll call it a small one right here, Martin drops that bunt down.
Racing in, Moustakas throws to first, not in time, and Martin beats it out.
Hey, nice heads-up play right there by Russell Martin, recognizing that Moustakas, the third baseman, is playing deep, and Young's not going to get off the mound. Watch him as Martin recognizes he's back. Just get the ball down. Keep it anywhere on the grass, and you're going to get yourself an infield hit. Russell will pick up his first hit on a bunt. Nice play. But if there is an Achilles heel, it is in the starters. They don't have a dominant 1 or a 2 that they can match up with teams in the playoffs.
Pilar is the batter, a swing and a miss.
Now, that's not to say they won't have one by the end of this month, right?
That's right. There's certainly conversations about the Royals going out with the depth that they have in their organization, and possibly going after a number 1. Quick toss over to first. Martin easily back. Moustakas at third now backs up, even with the bag. They play Pilar to hit the ball the other way. Pilar chases that one. Walked, stole a base, and was stranded at third, back in the third. 2-1 for the Jays as Encarnacion hits his 18th home run. Martin grabs the lead over at first, and Young throws back.
Paying a lot of attention to Russell Martin over there at first base. I think he wants to stop him, if you will, at first base. Russell just keeps inching off of the bag a little bit more at a time. He's trying to stop him. The best way to stop the base runner over there, just hold the baseball.
Pilar down in the count. Young working out of the stretch. Checks on Martin and deals the 0-2, and the fastball is high. He's paying so much attention over at first base at Russell Martin. A fastball high. It is a snow cone type of day, folks. They should send some of that over to Barry. Toss over to first base once again.
And he's getting back easy. Russell has attempted 7 stolen bases this year. I don't think this is a running spot here for a stolen base. Maybe if they get the count to 2-2, they might try to start the runner.
The 1-2 hit in the air to shallow right center field, and cruising over Dyson 2 away. Blue Jays went 27 2/3 innings without scoring a run until Edwin Encarnacion put a charge into one and put it in the bullpen out in left field. Ezekiel Carrera, the batter here, with a runner over at first. That's Martin. A bunt base hit. 2 down. Can Carrera keep the inning going? Young. And a strike. As much as you try to do different things from an offensive standpoint to get your offense going, at the end of the day for the Blue Jays, it's a lot about what Edwin did, which was, you know what, just go ahead and
hit the home run.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you think back, hey, we get stolen base, you got to walk, you try to create some things, hit the ball the other way, get a runner over to third, do a lot of the little things. Those are all the right things to do, but you know, sometimes you are who you are, and sometimes when you're desperately looking for a run, you know, Edwin gets a pitch he can handle and just skies it out to left field, and that ends the drought.
I asked Gibby that today. I said, what kind of things can you do to jumpstart this offense? And he mentioned all of those things. Hit and run a little bit more, steal some bases, try to be a little bit more aggressive at the plate and on the bases. But when it's all said and done, the Blue Jays hit a lot of home runs, and when they're not hitting home runs, it's tough for them to score runs.
Young to the plate, and the pitch misses. They've hit 114. Carrera awaits the 3-2 pitch. Runner moving, and he fouls it back. Lengthy at bat for Pilar, and then a lengthy at bat for Carrera, as Young is really slowed with Martin over at first base.
Yeah, I wonder if the heat has something to do with this. Thrown over a lot with Russell at first base.
60th pitch. Swung on and driven down the right field line. And is it fair or foul? And it is foul. Carrera turns on it.
Not known as a power hitter. If he's going to hit one, this might be the spot right down the line here in Kansas City. But you can see that ball curves foul and out of play. Straighten that bad boy out right there.
The 23rd pitch of the inning, and a breaking ball down and in. Third strikeout, but not before Edwin Encarnacion connects on his 18th home run of the year.
Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
"23 pitches through 3 innings, and Chris Young threw 23 in the last inning alone.
19 of those 23 in the strike zone. It's a good matchup for Burley because this Kansas City team, they go up there swinging the bat. They're not like the New York Yankees or the Boston Red Sox or some of those other teams that really work the count and have long pitch counts. They go up there swinging. So if Mark is hitting his spots and changing speeds, he should have a good afternoon against this team. He's had a lot of good days in this ballpark. Very familiar with Kauffman Stadium.
Hosmer flew out to end the first, and a ground ball taken by Travis, and there's one away here. This is a Kansas City team that has won 6 in a row, one shy of a season high 7 straight, and that was to start the season. Playing excellent baseball. Alex Rios hit by a pitch, stranded at third in the second, and Burley with the pitch, and it's called a strike. Burley, and quickly ahead in the count, 0-2.
He's got such late movement on his pitch. Cuts that ball down and then throws that changeup. Everything out of his hand looks like it's going to be a strike, and it looks like it's going to be the same speed, but it moves at the last minute.
The 0-2 just off the inside corner. Blue Jays trying to end a 3-game slide. Burley misses down and away, and the count now at 2-2. Rios hitting just 179 against Burley, and that one tracked down by Jose at short, and there are 2 down.
You know, we saw this in his last start against the White Sox when Mark Burley is working quickly. He's throwing strikes. The defense is on its toes, and they make plays for him. This time, Jose goes deep, snares that soft liner off the bat of Alex Rios. I counted 6 times, 6 plays in Mark's last start where the defense turned in star-worthy types of plays.
Well, that was the fastest game in the majors since 2011 when they went 154 between Burley and Sale. And that included 2 plays that were under review. Here's the 1-1.
Well, he doesn't shake off his catcher. He lets the catcher, and today it's Russell Martin, go over all the scouting reports and figure out what they're going to do. And the reason he does that is he wants that quick type of tempo. He doesn't want to have to worry about trying to figure out how to get guys out. The catcher, you do that. Let me just concentrate on how I'm going to execute this pitch.
In the air to right field, Bautista, a lot of room to cover, and he does. It's a 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 4th inning. 2-1. The Blue Jays over Kansas City. Time for a Blue Jays Central update with Jamie and Zani.
July 18th, the Blue Jays host the Rays at 1:07. Join us pregame outside Gate 10. Bring the kids for the inflatables, activities, and lots more fun. And after the game, kids 14 and under can run the bases just like the pros. Go to BlueJays.com for tickets. Matt?
Always a lot of fun. Jays having some fun right now as a lead 2-1 as we head to the 5th. Burley has set down 9 in a row since giving up that infield hit to Infante back in the 2nd. Travis, and back to the top of the order for the Blue Jays here in the top of the 5th, and the pitch misses down and away. Right-hander, and it's fouled back. Hit in the air to right field. Rios drifting back just shy of the track, and he makes a catch, and there's one down.
How about the at-bat that Devin Travis had last night against Kelvin Herrera? We were talking about that today down on the bench this morning with some of the Blue Jay coaches. They are so impressed with his approach at the plate, Devin Travis.
He's been impressive, hasn't he?
Been.
He drove that one.
Turned that thing around, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Jose takes a pitch low. He continues to impress. And you think about that deal, and has really worked out for the Blue Jays. Think about what his numbers would be if he didn't have that stint on the DL. And there's a strike.
And they're doing the right thing by leaving him down at the bottom of the lineup. You know, his first year in the big leagues, as long as Jose Reyes is in the lineup, you can afford to put Devin down at the bottom of that lineup. Just leave him there and let him get used to the major leagues.
Foul back. And a count of 1-2. Steamy day here in Kansas City. With one away, here's a 1-2. And a hard hit ball through the right side into right field. And Donaldson will come to the plate.
The 2015 Honda Civic is Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Great ballpark, Kauffman Stadium. And that is called Little K there. Little Kauffman Stadium. As Donaldson.
I think I could hit a home run on that ballpark.
You can hit a home run right here, Tabby. Reyes has a 7-game hit streak with that base hit through the right side. One away in the 5th. And Donaldson misses, and a count of 0-2.
For some reason he is just not picking up the ball from Chris Young. His career numbers suggest that he is having problems with that. He's throwing him a lot of off-speed pitches, slowing things down. A couple of ground outs this afternoon. Just one hit in his career versus Chris Young.
He has faced him 15 times, including today. Jose running, and a pitch, swing and a miss. And a stolen base. Second of the game for the Blue Jays. But Donaldson, a fourth strikeout victim for the right-hander.
Yeah, quickly, 3 breaking balls, and that's what you have to do. I think if you're the Blue Jays, you got to be aggressive. You got to pick up 90 feet when you can. It looks like Reyes might have done something to his legs on that steal. You see John Gibbons looking out there wondering what's going on. You got to do something to mix it up. And right when he gets to the base, you can see right behind that left knee, grabbed it just a little bit.
Jose with the lead back at second. Bautista is the hitter. He singled in the fourth as he looks at his strike, and he was on when Edwin Encarnacion hit his 18th home run.
And this was the field right here where Reyes got hurt 2 years ago on a slide at second base. If you remember that, with the ankle, severely sprained his ankle.
Off for third base, a throw from Butera. Not in time. And picking up his second stolen base.
Infielders, especially the middle infielders, have to play deep with 2 outs. They're not paying attention to Jose at second base, so picks up his second stolen base of the afternoon, his 13th of the season.
A base hit will mean a run. And check swing off to the right side and foul.
You know, you might be thinking, well, what's the big deal about stealing third base right there? Get to third base, you're already in scoring position, standing out at second base. It's a lot of pressure on the defense. You got to make the play. You can't score from second base on an error by one of the infielders. You can score on a wild pitch.
Hit in the air to center field, and racing back Dyson as that ball started to take off on him. And he is able to come up with it. No runs, a hit, and a runner left at third.
And while you're online, here's something you definitely want to check out. It's the Sportsnet Live Tracker. All the live stats and information you need for any game you want. Check it out at sportsnet.ca, #/live tracker. Have that in front of me right now, guys, and it is fantastic app. You can see just about everything you'll need.
There's something definitely to take a look at. Keep up with all the games. Blue Jays lead 2-1, and a hot smash off of the bat of Orlando, scooped up by Reyes and over to first base in time.
I would figure that app that you were just talking about would come in handy if you're a fantasy baseball
big time
type of player. Always checking out your players. One of the players you should be checking out right now is Mark Burley. How about the job he's done now? It's 10 in a row that he has set down. There's only been one ball in my mind that has been hit hard this afternoon. That was the first pitch of the game to Alcides Escobar. Hit the double and came around to score on a ground out. Everything else has been dinks and dunks and balls off the end of the bat and good plays by the defense.
Butera was involved in a trade on May 7th of this season, sending him to Kansas City. Out in front of the plate, Martin. And And there are 2 down now.
There's another one right off the end of the bat. When you've got that offensive player not sure where you're going to throw the ball, in or off the plate. That time it looked like he changed up off of him. Drew hits it off the end of the bat, and Russell throws him out.
Butera traded from the LA Angels. Gerard Dyson, and he looks at a strike. Great thing about Mark Buehrle from start to start, it's the same. And even from, early in the season when there were days in which, things weren't going his way, just the same. Level-headed, here it is. I've had success with this throughout my career. I'm just going to keep doing it, and it's going to work itself out. And guess what? It has.
I'm not sure he was healthy coming out of spring training. Just didn't seem like he was the vintage type of player. But once the calendar switched over to May, he has been outstanding. Again, 4 complete games, every one of them on the road this year. Those 4 complete games by Mark Buehrle at the age of 36, that leads the American League.
Swing and a miss. That's 12 in a row now. His second strikeout. Blue Jays lead 2-1. Let's go to the 6th.
'15 All-Star Game. Check out Josh Donaldson, Jose Bautista, and Russell Martin as they go up against the National League. It all gets underway 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 Pacific on Sportsnet. Guys, you can easily make an argument that Mark Buehrle deserves to be there with those other 3 Blue Jays the way he's been going lately.
9-5 with a 3.38 ERA, as Pat mentioned, in the last half inning. 4 complete games. He leads the American League.
And that could still happen, I think, if he wins this game and somebody has to pull out, somebody gets injured between now and tomorrow. Wouldn't shock me to see him in the All-Star game, or at least get invited.
Edwin hit his 18th back in the 4th. And Young to the plate with a strike. Although at 36 years of age, to be a tremendous honor, I'm sure he wouldn't mind some rest to get ready for the second half. Fouled right back in a count of 1-2.
Well, this is a good sign, I think, if you're the Blue Jays. It looked like a breaking ball. What Edwin did is he waited just a half a second longer. Let that ball travel just a little bit more. And a high fly ball to left field. That is a good sign.
Underneath this one, Infante dealing with the sun, and he's able to bring it in. And there is one away here in the Top of the 6th, Justin Smoke has struck out twice, 2 of the 4 strikeouts for the big right-hander Chris Young. See if he can figure him out here in the 6th inning. His average at .248, 8 home runs and 25 RBIs at the start of the game, and now down to .244. Young, and a fastball high at 86 miles an hour.
Now you can sit on that fastball, right? 2-0. See if you can hit one into the fountains in right field.
Sweat-soaked jersey. They have the shift on, and then right through Infante into right field. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball. Partnership. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. An error charge to Infante.
Well, it doesn't happen very often. Kansas City Royals, that's just their 46th error of the season. Now they got to take advantage of it.
A 6th of the season on Infante. Russell Martin, a bunt single back in the 4th. He's 1 for 2. Martin awaits, and the pitch is high. Trying to stay cool here on this steamy Saturday. And a called strike. One of the reasons why John Gibbons decided to DH Martin last night. He wanted to play him today as well as tomorrow. He understands, having been here as a bench coach, how hot it is this time of the year.
So he wanted to give Russell a little time off. Look at his jersey right there. Just, you start to sweat and your jersey top gets wet, then he was diving back into first base. That thing's going to start caking up and become mud soon.
In the hole, getting in front of it, Escobar. Second out, on to first, not in time. 2 down.
It will go down as a fielder's choice. Really no chance to turn 2, but they try. Escobar, the shortstop, quickly over to Infante. But Russell runs too well. I think they'll pay attention to him now, like they did last time.
I don't know. With Chris Young, I think you just focus in on Pilar, right?
With 2 outs, I would.
That was a scenario with 1 out. Had him 0-2, and then Pilar worked the count before flying out to Dyson in center. Pilar, over his last 40 games, hitting .347. He's recorded multiple hits in 17 of his last 35, although looking for his first hit since this past Wednesday. Everyday center fielder. Put him in the lineup and you can count on him every day, right, Tabby?
Yeah. I think he's having a great year. He's finally getting a chance to prove that he's an everyday player in the major leagues. You watch him run the bases. He runs the bases hard. He gives you good effort every day. He has picked up 12 stolen bases. He's only been thrown out twice. You see strides as a hitter, becoming a pretty good major league hitter. He came into this game at .275 with 36 driven in, and we all know about the defense.
Swing and a miss. Martin going for a steal, and he's out. Bottom of the 6th we go, and the Blue Jays lead 2-1.
Winter mittens. Go to BlueJays.com for more details. And guys, we have a new third baseman now for the Blue Jays, unfortunately.
Danny Valencia takes over at third, as Josh Donaldson replaced by the former Royal. See if we get any word on the reasoning, as Burley deals to Escobar, fouls it off to the right side. Blue Jays lead 2-1.
I was Mark right here. I would keep the ball in on Escobar right here, and he's looking for a ball out over the plate.
The 0-2, and it's chopped foul. Third base side.
He doesn't let too many balls go by, does he? He is up there swinging. Mark missed his spot right there. Burley tried to get that fastball, that cutter in, and he left down over the plate.
Travis goes back, and there is one down. Receiving word on Donaldson. It's precautionary. Flu-like symptoms. Feeling a little bit under the weather. And so John Gibbons decides to put Valencia there at third base as Moustakas takes a pitch. And a breaking ball in there for a strike at 79 miles an hour. Fouled off. Both bullpens, there's movement. No action yet, but
there's movement, and I think there's going to be action now starting in Kansas City. They just pulled back the tarp. Blue Jays, they got the tarps on there. They're not doing anything. Not the way Mark Burley's been throwing right now. But Kansas City's going to get something started down there.
36-year-old dealing with this heavy heat here.
Hey, this is nothing new for him. He's from this area, isn't he?
It's true. And you know, some guys really enjoy pitching in this kind of weather as well. Kind of loosens you up, gets you going. although for some it could be suffocating if you're not used to it. Backhanded, Travis able to make the play, 2 down, and Moustakas is out. He's retired now, 14 in a row.
Look at all the ground ball outs among those 14. That shows you that that cutter's working and that changeup's working. He's keeping the ball down. Not too many balls up in the air this afternoon.
9 ground ball outs. Morales awaits. And he looks at a strike. He is grounded out twice. Veteran DH. Solid pickup for the Royals, and this one line down the left field line and jumping out of the way, Adrian Johnson. Good move down there. Valencia saying, hey.
Nice athletic move by a third base umpire. That thing is tracking to you, hooking right at you. And he thought he was going to have an off day today.
High in the air, smoke going out. Travis lost it, and it's going to fall in for a hit. And we saw some of this in Chicago. That led to some unfortunate runs against the Blue Jays.
Neither of the fielders, Smoke or Travis, looked comfortable at all, looking up into the sun. And they're ducking out of the way, saying, I don't see it. You can see, I don't see it. I have no idea where that is. It falls for a base hit.
And so much room for the right fielder or any of the outfielders to cover. Bautista unable to get there in time. Hosmer is the batter. Tying run is aboard as Hosmer looks at a strike. Strike 2.
You know, it's surprising that neither one of the infielders don't have sunglasses on. You see Devin right there looking up into the sun. They don't have those flip down sunglasses that'll help them. There's Jose with his sunglasses, but they didn't have them down. They don't even have them on.
Valencia has him at third, and that's going to end the inning. And Infante, the second baseman for the Royals, has shades on.
Gold Cup tonight on Sportsnet and Sportsnet World, 6:30 Eastern. Visit sportsnet.ca/world and subscribe. Just saw Louis Rivera talking to Devin Travis, asking him about wearing some flip-flops possibly for the next half inning.
We'll see if he makes that adjustment as he heads out. The bullpen for the Kansas City Royals is working with a right-hander as well as a left-hander out there. As you see, Devin Travis looking for some shades. Travis, Bautista, and Smoke all talking about that ball off of the bat of Morales. Young, and a strike. Pilar was the hitter when Martin was caught stealing. Morales warming up as the pitch is fouled back in a count of 0-2. Ryan Madson also up. The lefty is Franklin Morales. Pilar lines this one right back through the middle.
Save during the plumbing, cooling, and electrical expert sale. Only at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Homeowners helping homeowners with expert advice.
Ned Yost comes out of the dugout and he takes the baseball from the big right-hander at Princeton University. And the left-hander will come in. Blue Jays lead here in the top of the 7th, 2-1. It's a pitching change. Replace of Chris Young, who worked 6+ innings. Tabby
Morales has been around. This is his 7th year in the big leagues. He was signed as a minor league free agent this past February, right before camps opened up this season. Veteran left-hander has put in some good work. 35 games, 3-0 with a 255 earned run average. He's got a 3-to-1 strikeout to walk ratio. His last game was 3 days ago when he was able to throw 2 innings against Tampa Bay. And Toronto knows all about Franklin Morales. He still has a pretty good arm. 9 career innings. Blue Jays have only been able to score 1 run against him.
Carrera is the batter. Moustakas plays in, and a time now called. Moustakas thinking that maybe Carrera might think about laying down a bunt. He's 0 for 2, and quickly over to first base. You have to pay attention to Pilar, as you mentioned. He has 12 stolen bases. He's only been caught twice.
And that's why they've thrown over there a couple of times, just to see if Carrera will give away his hand. Will he square around early on that throw over to first base? Drew Butera, the catcher, looking in, trying to get a sign to see what type of defense they want to put up right now. Carrera, if he is bunting, didn't give it away at all on either one of those throws over to first base.
Shows bunt that time.
Makes all the sense in the world right here. Tough left-hander. And Morales against a left-handed batter. Bunt this guy into scoring position.
And he get it down the first base line. He tries there. Out in front of the plate to second. In time for the force out.
You know, Drew Butera has the reputation, and you're seeing it this afternoon, as an excellent receiver, excellent catcher. He pounced all over that ball. His ball running in on Carrera, tries to get out of the way so he doesn't get a whole lot on that ball, and then Drew Butera comes out firing to second base to get that lead runner. Get rid of the mask like he did, find the ball with your bare hand and throw a strike to second base to get the out.
Sal's son, his fourth big league team. Blue Jays lead 2-1. It's Travis. Devin 0 for 2. And over at first base is Carrera. And the lefty to the plate and quickly 0-1 as that one is fouled off. Morales, last time he worked was against Tampa Bay. He worked 2 innings and a hit, no runs. And a toss to first. Last night, with the lead, the Royals turned to Herrera, Davis, and Holland. And I don't think that there's a tougher trio to deal with.
No, not in baseball. You got 3 closers.
And this is where you want to be in the late innings against Kansas City. You want that lead.
You want the lead. Now you can try and do some add-on. Look at the long look that Devin Travis has given Luis Rivera. They might try something here like a hit and run or something just to get something going.
Reyes is on deck. Through the right side, and Carrera will go to second, and a great piece of hitting by Devin Travis.
He can hit the ball to right field as well as anybody in the game. Watch him let that ball get deep. The hands come forward. The bat lags just a little bit, and Carrera unfortunately has to let that ball go through first before he can try to go first to third. That's one thing the Jays have done really well this year, I think, going first to third on base hits. But if the runner at first base has got to let that thing pass before he can start it up again.
Jose, after meeting on the mound, is the batter with the runners at first and second base. Outfield straight away and shallow. Blue Jays looking for more runs, and a pitch down and in. Blue Jays with runners in scoring position are 0 for their last 18. Bautista was at first when Encarnacion hit his 18th home run in the 4th. Carrera with a lead at second, and time is called. Travis now heads back toward the bag at first. Morales looks in. 2 on for the Blue Jays with a 1 away here. And Morales concerned about Carrera. Spins back and chases him back to the bag at second. Pitch down and in. Royals looking for a double play ball. And a count of 2-0. Jose in the 5th inning singled through the right side, stole second, stole third. He had 3 stolen bases on June 6th against Houston. He had 2 against the Astros on the 7th. and 2 today. And the count now 2-1. Valencia is on deck. If you're just joining us, Josh Donaldson leaving, a little bit under the weather, as that pitch is fouled back at the count now 2-2.
And I'm sure the weather didn't make him feel any better.
Sure.
Hot and boiling, so get into the clubhouse, get into the air conditioning, then get back to the hotel and get your rest. Maybe you can play tomorrow. In the meantime, the Blue Jays are battling right now.
Absolutely.
They need this W right here. The way things have been going, they need to figure out a way to win this game.
Can they come up with one more run here? In the bottom of the 7th, Rios, Infante, Orlando. This lengthy inning for Mark Burley probably works in his favor. Getting some rest over there. They have air conditioning inside the dugout, at least at your feet.
Yeah, in the dugout. That's a nice little perk, isn't it?
You were showing me that yesterday. I'm like, all right, this is pretty good.
You know, forget the fans. They got the AC down there, so that's why you see March still on that bench in between innings. He doesn't have to go up into the clubhouse to keep cool.
Breaking ball gets away from Butera, and now runners move up. 2nd and 3rd with 1 away.
That will probably bring the infield in. Morales' slider, I think you can discount it right now. He hasn't thrown it for a strike yet since he has come in. He bounces this one up at the plate. Butera, the catcher, can't keep that one in front of him. And indeed, the infield does have to come in. There's Mark, keeping cool.
Not a quick inning. Beneficial to Burley. Pitching change. On the ground to the right side. Coming home. Carrera, the throw to the plate. Not in time. And the Blue Jays add a run here in the top of the 7th.
You know, after the wild pitch, I think that allowed the Blue Jays to be a little bit more aggressive on the bases. So they're going to play the contact play. And Hosmer, an outstanding first baseman. He's a left-handed throwing first baseman. Watch how he catches the ball. He just can't get spun around so he can throw that ball accurately. He just can't close up that front side. That allows Carrera to come in with another run and keep the inning going for the Blue Jays.
Fielder's choice and an RBI. Ed Yost back out on the hill, and he's going to go to his bullpen once again. Here in the top of the 7th inning, Valencia will be the batter. Morales is done. Madsen tabby is on.
You know, we talked about under the radar signings. Well, here's another one by the Kansas City Royals. Great numbers for the veteran Madsen.
Runner moving on the pitch, and Valencia jumps on it, and it's foul.
Madsen, this is his 10th year in the big leagues. He was injured in 2012 and didn't play. 2013 he was injured. 14, and now coming back here, he's put together a nice first half of the season out of the bullpen. Great cutter and a great changeup. You're going to get a changeup at any time from Ryan Madsen.
They changed the fielder's choice to Jose to a hit. Instead of a fielder's choice, they give Jose a base hit. We are being told. Swing and a miss. And Jose the stolen base, his third of the day.
Got to do it. You got to keep that pressure on him right there. Now the infield has to come in. The double play is taken away. They were going to give him second base. Drew Butera wasn't going to throw that ball down to second.
Close the book on Chris Young as Valencia swings and misses. 6+ innings, 5 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts. Valencia strikes out there to Madsen.
Cut the fastball, used the changeup this time up and in, and Valencia comes up empty. It's a big strikeout.
Jose is 1 for 3. Runners at second and third, and Madsen to the plate. Bautista gets underneath it in foul territory. Dealing with the high sky is Hosmer, and Hosmer is able to grab it in foul territory. Jays tack on 1.
Sportsnet has Canada versus Ecuador, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific. By all accounts, gentlemen, last night's opening ceremony was a sight to behold, including fireworks off the top of the CN Tower.
I heard it was a great scene there at the Rogers Center. Mark Burley has retired 15 of the last 16 that he has faced.
The only blemish? Oop, that pop up to right field.
That's right. 3-1. Devin Travis is not wearing sunglasses, although he has them placed on the back of his head just in case he feels as though he needs to use them.
On a pop-up, tough to take those off and then place them in front of your eyes, isn't it?
Alex Rios, Omar Infante, Paolo Orlando. Left side of the infield has the shades on as the pitch is fouled away. Carrera wearing them in left. Pilar wearing them in center. And the pitch down and in. Foul toward the Blue Jays dugout. This would be key for the Blue Jays with the way this trip has been going as the pitch is fouled off. They've had their opportunities on this trip. Unfortunately, it's just gone the other way. Line drive drilled into left field off of the bat of Rios. He's headed to second to throw. Just laid in a leadoff double here in the seventh.
You know, that double was made by Rios coming out of the batter's box. He did not take anything for granted. You run hard. When you're a winning team like the Kansas City Royals are, you don't take anything for granted. You think about extra bases all the time, and we've seen this in the past from Rios. Nice cut at first base and a double. He made that all by himself, that extra base hit. All by himself.
In on the corners, and Infante swings away.
I tell you, that's what winning teams do, don't they? They played in the World Series last year, and they want to go back there. And to a man, every one of these Kansas City players are pulling for each other.
Well, you get that taste. Infante bunts that one foul. You realize you can do it and get it done. You've been a part of teams like that.
You do the extra stuff, you know, every day to help you win ball games. Even something as simple as that right there from Rios. A line drive that the third baseman reaches for, and you turn it into a double. Looks a whole lot better than standing at first base, doesn't it?
That's why that run that the Blue Jays were able to get and the top of the seventh so important. In the air, Pilar underneath it. Rios off to third base, and so one away, and Infante moves Rios to third.
And there's the importance of picking up 90 extra feet by Rios. If he comes out of that box just loafing, he doesn't get to second base. And now this ball from Infante is just a fly ball, and he's still at first base. But because it's deep enough in center field, and with his speed, he can really score without a throw or get to third base. And now he can score on a long fly ball. That's winning baseball, and you got to bring it every day.
Orlando, a sac bunt in the second, grounded out in the fifth, and he fouls it back. Even with the bags at third and at first. Back through the middle, outfield straight away. The opposition hitting .216 against Burley with runners in scoring position. And the ground ball handled by Jose over to first. And the run scores. It's 3-2 now, Blue Jays.
The importance of that tack-on run last inning, like you said. And that allows the Blue Jays to play the infield back with a runner at third base. You can see how deep he is. And as a hitter, you just keep this ball in the middle of the diamond, and you're going to get yourself an RBI. Orlando does. And I'm going to
12th RBI.
I'm going to go back to it once again. That run manufactured right there by Rios. Hustling that what looked like it could have been just a single to left field. He turned it into a double.
Then the fly ball to move him over, and then the ground ball, get him in, move him over, get him in. You see that in batting practice as Butera looks at a pitch. It's 3-0 now. And there's a strike. Burley working into the 7th here. And the 3-1, strike 2.
Nice, right on the corner. The last time Mark didn't throw at least 7 innings, you have to go all the way back to June the 9th.
And the lefty to the plate, on the ground and through the middle. It's a base hit. That's going to bring up Dyson. And the tarp comes off of the mound out in the bullpen for the Blue Jays.
Some action now in the bullpen for John Gibbons' team. One more time, a pitch that was away, trying to get him to roll over on that ball, but it's change up, down and away, and Drew just stays right with it. Shoots it right back through the middle. First time that he has been on this afternoon.
Bo Schultz is warming up. And the pitch misses away. Here's a big right-hander out of Northwestern University in Evanston, Illinois. On the ground, glove by Burley. Having trouble getting it out of the glove, finally does. And that's going to do it in the bottom of the 7th inning. 1 run, 2 hits, no errors, and a runner left. 3-2 Jays.
Alberta, Halifax, Nova Scotia, Victoria, BC, and Toronto, Ontario. Go to BlueJays.com/Baseball Academy for more details.
Mark Burley, 22 pitches in the top of the 7th, and John Gibbons goes over to him and says, outstanding job on a hot, steamy Saturday. See Ryan Goins with a hug. Great outing for the left-hander and new pitcher for the Royals.
6 straight outings of at least 7 innings for Mark Burley. Luke Hochevar is going to take over. There are the numbers for Hochevar this season. Just 17 innings, 18 games. He is coming back from injury last season.
Right-hander out of the University of Tennessee. Hochevar, the breaking ball. Encarnacion smoking Martin here in the top of the 8th inning in a 3-2 game.
Hochevar was a starter, and he was moved into the pen after the Tommy John surgery last season. He had it last March 2014. Former first-round draft pick.
First overall pick in the 2006 amateur draft by the Royals. Hochevar deals. And did he go around? No, says Jerry Mills. Mills is the crew chief. Encarnacion with a 2-run home run in the 4th. And the Blue Jays have led since then. And as we talked about at the time, you got to get an extra run. They're able to do it in the 7th. Rios with that double that he created, as you mentioned, Tabby, in the 7th. And some little ball, and the next thing you know, he scores.
Yeah, he did it all by himself. Now the Blue Jays have got to get one more back.
They're going to turn it over to their bullpen. And they bring it home for the Blue Jays.
You know, we mentioned that Hochevar had the Tommy John surgery March of last season, so he is just now coming back. They're going to pitch him out of the bullpen, and he's getting stronger as the season goes along. He's getting stronger and stronger. You saw that last fastball. He's hitting 96 again. Good overhand curveball. Very good changeup.
Broken bat rolled out to Moustakas. And there's one away here in the top of the 8th inning.
So my point being, Matty, you know, everybody talks about Herrera and Wade Davis and the closer Greg Holland. There's more arms down in that bullpen. I mean, guys who can bring it. Hochevar being one of those guys. He's 96. He could probably give you 2 innings if you need to, but they probably just do one at a time with him. You see 18 appearances in just 17 innings this year.
In 2012, he had a record of 8-16 in 32 starts. 2013, 5-2, working 58 games, all out of the pen. And then Tommy John, his 19th appearance here this season.
Just another one of those arms that makes up the best bullpen in the American League. It's a mighty pen. They've won 16 games out of that pen and have 27 saves, an ERA just over 2. So it's more than just those 3 guys that we saw yesterday.
Smoke. And the count 2-1 to Justin Smoke. 0 for 3, reached base on an error in the 6th. Blue Jays hoping they don't have to face Davis or Holland. Or even Herrera. And here they are in the 8th inning.
Well, that means that they have to lead Blue Jays if they're not going to see those guys. Ned Yost isn't going to pitch them if they're behind.
That's why they want to keep it right here and make sure their pen's able to take care of some business. And it's a 1-out walk here in the 8th inning. Martin is 1 for 3. As Smoke is over at first base. Blue Jays lead 3-2. Top of the 8th inning. Hochevar deals, and the pitch is swung on and missed. Smoke with a small lead at first, and Martin looks at a pitch down low and outside. Dyson plays him toward the gap in right. Ochovar deals, and the pitch catches that outside corner, and it's a strike.
Blue Jays have been pushing the aggressive button all afternoon, but this really isn't the time to do that. They don't have the right guys at the plate or on the bases, so you got to hope for some base hits.
Into shallow center field, and Dyson comes on, and there's 2 away. Pilar is the hitter. Pilar singled in the 7th. He's 1 for 2, walked, stole a base in the 3rd, and was stranded at 3rd. Hit his 7th home run on this road trip last Saturday against David Price.
I tell you, the game of baseball has changed, hasn't it? Where you used to try and get that starter out of there as quickly as possible so you can get into the bullpen as that bat and ball go different directions. Nowadays, when you face Kansas City, you want to keep that starter in there as long as possible.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't want to have him go to the bullpen. The bullpen is too tough.
Well, imagine if they end up with a mighty number 1.
That'd make for a long day, wouldn't it?
It would.
For some batters.
But it really simplifies the game for Ned Yost. Just give me 6, and we'll patch it up from there.
Those guys can throw every day, too.
And as you mentioned, the depth of that bullpen, even if, pitcher comes out, whether it was Duffy last night or Young today, and can only make it into the 4th, there's so many arms out there that you'll be able to piece it together. That's foul on top of the dugout. But also, it must have changed the mindset of a starter, knowing that, you know what? Hey, look, I got this bullpen behind me. I can get out there and give them 5-6 solid. I'm good.
Yeah, and go with the lead. I can go as hard as I can. You don't have to think about 9 innings like they used to back in the day. That's another reason the game has changed. Starters don't think about going complete games. They don't even think about going 8th or 9th inning. You have so many specialists out there, and when you've got a bullpen like that, it certainly does make it a lot easier for the manager. If you're ahead, I'm bringing this guy in. If I'm behind, I'm bringing this guy in. Simple.
There's really no decisions. It's just here it is.
Well, what makes them tough, those 3 guys, they can get left-handers out. You don't have to bring in a lefty specialist to get lefties out. You can just leave them out there and they can get them out.
Ochovar ahead in the count, and the count now 2-2 as that fastball at 95 misses away.
Yeah, he's got plenty of fastball. The last thing to come after a Tommy John injury is the feel, the ability to throw the ball where you want to. He is just about 14 or 15 months since that surgery.
Foul back by Pilar. The 2-2 with 2 outs, and the pitch misses in 3-2. Well, when you used to hear about surgery and Tommy John, have a lot more concern than you do now. There have been so many examples of the way that pitchers have come back and have been successful after. It's not as much of a concern as it was 20 years ago. The 3-2 runner moving, and it's fouled off.
Did you happen to read the piece by John Smoltz in the USA Today this week? He was talking about that, the Tommy John surgeries and the way that the kids have grown up and the expectations and everything. Do you know he's the first player to go in the Hall of Fame who's had Tommy John surgery, first pitcher?
Really?
Yeah, he was saying that, first one. He also said, I might be the last because guys just don't come back and pitch as long as they used to.
Well, there's a lot of truth to that, right? But it's been, as Pilar walks, you know, a lengthy debate in every sport about specialization, the overuse of muscles.
Well, I think the radar gun, and I want to get drafted, so if I throw 95 and just burn it in there for as long as I can when I'm 16, 17, 18 years old, that's the problem that a lot of baseball people see and a lot of medical people see. It's the precursor to Tommy John surgery.
It's interesting. We're having this conversation the other day just about compared to when you were playing, how many guys throw 95 plus. And you think back, you go, hey, Rich, you know, Goose Gossage,
yeah,
you know, heated up. I mean, how many? Now a staff will have multiple players and pitchers
full of guys 95 plus.
Carrera looks at a strike. But also maybe more throwers today than pitchers.
Yeah, there's not too many Mark Burleys left who know how to add and subtract.
Carrera with runners at first and second. 2 walks here in this inning. Be nice if the Jays can add 1 more here in the 8th. A little bit of breathing room. Carrera attempted to sack Bunt last time up to move Pilar to second. However, he was forced out at second base.
Well, that was a generous call right there on that high breaking ball. That 1-1 pitch is so important. You get it called a ball, you can see it at the top of the strike zone. Number 3, that red dot looks like it's out of the strike zone. Instead of 2-1, now Carrera's got to hit 1 and 2.
Here's the 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out. Blue Jays strand 2. Time for a Blue Jays Central update. Here's Jamie Campbell and Greg Zong.
From Cincinnati Monday on Sportsnet, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. And Tabby, is from what you say, the ball should be carrying out of that ballpark on Monday.
It will be flying, my man. It'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Schultz, the right-hander, is on for the Blue Jays. Burley, 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, both earned, and 2 strikeouts. 85 pitches, but it is a sweltering Saturday as far as the heat is concerned, and so they turn now to Bo Schultz.
Pretty good numbers right there for Schultz, pitching in some higher leverage situations for the Blue Jays at the back end of their bullpen. This is the 4th time he has pitched on this road trip. He doesn't have a record this year. His ERA is 1.77. His first look by the Royals at Bo Schultz this year.
Up to the bullpen for the Jays to bring this one home for Toronto and John Gibbons. In the top of the 9th, it'll be Travis and then Reyes and Valencia, who entered the game back in the bottom of the 6th inning for Donaldson. Escobar in the air to center field, and Pilar puts it away.
The 2015 Honda Civic is Canada's best-selling car for 17 years in a row and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Summer fun. And on a day like today, kids having some fun right there with the water, cooling them off. And the pitch down and in to Moustakas. He's 0 for 2.
On days like today, you know, this stadium is known for all the waterfalls and everything out in the outfield.
In the air to left field, Carrera broke in and then backpedals, and he's able to make the play. 2 down.
I never understood why they didn't build those waterfalls where the fans could walk through the water if they wanted to, right? And cool off.
It's a great idea. I worked at a ballpark in 1993 in Palm Springs, California. The Cal League, the Palm Springs Angels, they actually had a misting system in the stands.
Yes.
And it would just, throughout the entire game, it would be turned on and it would just kind of drizzle on top of you.
They call that the cool zone.
Yes.
Right? Those cool zones. Well, that ball is foul. They have one of those in Cincinnati, so maybe we can station Barry out there because he's had to put up with the hot weather here today and tomorrow. We'll put him in the cool zone in Cincinnati. What do you think?
Well, you might need it. I know in Palm Springs they did. There's Barry. He looks kind of cool.
I have a little fan here, boys, so it's keeping me
You're
warm.
cheating.
My thermometer now says 110, so it's a little toasty.
But you're holding up well. Back in the day in Palm Springs in July, be about 43. Game time temperature. Swing and a miss. Morales turns around to the left side. Single last time up. That was the ball that was lost by Travis and Smoke.
Boy, what a job Mark Burley did again.
And you think about what he did against Sale. Complete game. And he had the stuff today to go even deeper, but it was just so hot out there.
Yeah, in that 7th inning, he threw a lot of pitches.
Yep.
And it looked like he started running out of gas just a little bit.
Yep. But he was outstanding once again. Such a treat to watch him.
Trying to win his 13th game as a visiting player in this ballpark.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Absolutely, and looking for his 10th win of the season. Swing and a miss. struck him out, and a 1-2-3 inning. We head now to the top of the 9th inning. It's getting a little bit hot here, just a little. Honda Civic, Canada's best-selling car 17 years in a row, and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
This afternoon's drive of the game belongs to Edwin Encarnacion, who belts this pitch over the wall for his 18th home run, his first home run in 10 days. You have to go back to July the 1st when he hit number 17. That's his 176th as a Blue Jay, putting him 3 behind Jesse Barfield for 6 on the club's all-time list. This afternoon's drive of the game from Edwin Encarnacion. And now into the ball game. Here's another young flamethrower coming out of the bullpen, just drafted last season by Kansas City. Brandon Finnegan, 2-0 with a 2.11 earned run average. You can notice at the bottom there the 18 strikeouts in 21 innings, but also notice the base on balls. He just got a great arm. He's just not a polished and a finished product just yet, but his stuff is outstanding.
So the left-hander comes in here. He'll face Travis, Reyes, and then Valencia.
Finnegan has been up and down with the team all season long, and was with the team last week, or at the beginning of this week, and then was going to be optioned back down to the minor leagues. And then Alex Gordon got hurt, and he was summoned and came right back to the big league club after Gordon went on the disabled list.
17th overall selection a year ago at a TCU, Texas Christian University. He is from Fort Worth, where TCU is located. The Horned Frogs. And Travis is aboard with a single the other way, and he is 2 for 4. Did a great job back in the 7th going the other way, and once again doing it here.
And another multi-hit game. You can see why he's going to hit for a high average. Not a lot of movement in that swing. He just uses his hands, and he uses the whole field. 2 hits today, both of them to right field.
Finnegan considered a second best prospect in the Royals organization, as Jose squares the bunt and pulls it back. He helped the Horned Frogs to the College World Series last year. This year it was won by UVA, University of Virginia, beating Vanderbilt. Moustakas in on the grass at third, and it's popped in the air, scooped up by Butera in foul territory.
Blue Jays playing for a run right here. Give me one right here after that leadoff hit by Travis. Reyes trying to move him up in the scoring position for Valencia and Bautista.
Check on Travis over at first base. After getting drafted last season, he worked in A-ball as well as Double-A, and then had 7 appearances for the Royals. Reyes squares the bunt once again. It's fouled off, and now all of a sudden it's 1-2, and he's going to be swinging away.
Yeah, can't afford to bunt and miss one more time. You're going to be out, so let Jose swing away. He's been on base 3 times this afternoon. He's also had 3 stolen bases. The igniter of this offense, getting it going.
Travis with the lead over at first. Reyes swings, driven in the gap, past the diving Dyson. Devin Travis will head to third and hold up there. And Jose Reyes comes through big as he shoots the gap in right field.
Hey, when you can't bunt, go ahead and swing away. What a day for Reyes. He can't sacrifice him over, so he swings away, gets a curveball, and slices this ball to right field. It looks like Dyson has a chance at it with that great speed. He dives, he can't come up with it. Blue Jays are in business, 2nd and 3rd, and nobody out here in the 9th inning.
So Valencia here in a 3-2 game. The batter 0 for 1. If he can just drive something in the air, infield is going to play in. And Finnegan to the plate in a breaking ball. A chance with nobody out and runners at 2nd and 3rd. Valencia waits, and the pitch hops up to the plate. Bautista on deck.
See the infield in for Kansas City. I'm sure they're going to make the ball go through. So if you're the base runner right now, if you're Devin Travis and Jose Reyes, just stay close to the bag. You don't want to get doubled up on a line drive. You don't want to commit too early. You can see Travis, he got a very short lead at third base.
And the pitch misses, and the count now 3-0.
You know, we were talking earlier about gambling a little bit and being aggressive. I'd gamble right here and let him swing away. The way Danny Valencia wears out the lefties, I'd let him go ahead and swing away right here.
Count is 3-0. The former Royal in the batter's box. All it takes is a fly ball. And he looks at a strike. Looks like he was taken all the way. Valencia hitting .294 against lefties with a home run and 9 RBIs. He's going to be looking for one to drive here, and he does to deep center field. Dyson going back, gone. A 3-run home run for Valencia. On a 3-1 pitch, drives it deep to center field, and Dyson unable to catch up to it.
That deep enough for you? That'll do it. The deepest part of the ballpark. This ball was covered, as they say. 3-1 fastball out over the plate. He can get that barrel out there and extend. He knows that one's going to score at least 1, and it ends up scoring 3.
Bautista to the shortstop, Escobar. And there's one away.
Boy, that's got to be a good feeling right there for Valencia. He entered in the 7th inning, and then he can contribute here in the 9th inning with this massive blast to dead center, right under the batter's eye in center field.
You're looking for one, and they end up with 3. Blue Jays lead 6-2. And the Bats doing it once again. 2 home runs.
Yeah, the home runs.
Right.
They've been struggling to score runs, so they go back to what works for them.
Escobar with a big bounce. 2 down, and here comes Justin Smoke. And for Mark Burley, if the Blue Jays bullpen can do their job in the bottom of the 9th inning, he's going to record his 10th win in his 15th consecutive season. 15 consecutive seasons, 10 or more wins. It'll be the 4th time that he potentially will record 10 wins by the All-Star break. First did it in 2002. And 12 wins in 05, 10, and then last season 10. By the way, he was an All-Star in each one of those years. And the pitch is a strike to Smoke. Hosmer, Rios, and Infante. And the bottom of the 9th. And Smoke drives it through. A switch hitter, the left side for a base hit. You know, typically platooned, doesn't get many at bats from the right side, and that time able to drive it through the left side for a base hit. He's aboard here.
But hitting left-handed pitching this year, you say he doesn't get a lot of chances. That's true. He's hitting 333 versus left-handed pitching before that at bat.
Martin swings and misses. Martin 1 for 4 today. Blue Jays add 3 here in the top of the 9th inning. The young lefty Finnegan deals, and it's outside. Misses away. Started with Travis, and then Jose Reyes was unable to lay down a couple of bunts. He swung away, and Dyson tried to make a diving catch, couldn't grab it. Put runners at 2nd and 3rd, and Valencia had a 3-1 count, and he made Finnegan pay for it.
Boy, there's nothing like a hitter having the infield in.
Yeah.
Got a couple of runners on base. You're a right-handed hitter facing a left-handed pitcher who throws hard, and it's a 3-1 count. What do you think you're going to be looking for?
Absolutely. The number one.
The number one, and he got it, and he didn't miss it.
That fan got that baseball. And Valencia able to put a charge into one here in the top of the 9th inning. Some breathing room for the Blue Jays. Full count. And it's a walk. And Finnegan has really struggled here in the top of the 9th inning, and the Blue Jays are making him pay. Runners at first and second base.
That's Dave Island, the pitching coach, got to come out. This is a long inning for his young reliever. They don't have anybody warming up. It's basically, hey, kid, you got to finish this thing off right here. Slow down just a little bit. He's opening up that front shoulder a little bit too quickly.
Blue Jays and Royals will be back at it tomorrow. Another day game from Kauffman Stadium before the All-Star break. And throughout this 10-game road trip, so many Blue Jay fans making the journey to see their team. And a strike to Pilar. Pilar is 1 for 2, 2 walks on the day. As John Gibbons told us yesterday, this is an important series. You come away with a W here, you're back to 500. You're all square heading into Sunday.
Yeah, and you have a chance to win the series then on Sunday. You think that makes a difference to these guys? Absolutely. Going into the All-Star break.
And you're able on a day like today to stay away from the trio that causes so much trouble, and the trio of trouble: Herrera, Davis, and Holland.
Just rename them
the trio of trouble.
The trio of trouble. I like it.
I mean, they are, aren't they?
Yeah. I wouldn't want to face them.
No.
I'm glad I don't have to face them.
Pilar swing and a miss, and that's going to do it. But the Blue Jays come away with 3 extra runs when Danny Valencia hits this 3-run home run.
Of The Strain, Sunday at 10 Eastern and Pacific only on FX.
New pitcher comes on for the Blue Jays, Roberto Osuna.
What looked like it was going to be a safe situation before the 3-run home run, they had him up, they had him working. The 3-run home run made it a non-safe situation, so Osuna's going to come in for the 38th time this season. He's got 4 saves and 5 chances. He's thrown 39 innings. Pretty good numbers for Osuna. The last time he worked was the game in Chicago. When he lost that game, he was the pitcher who gave up the walk-off home run to Adam Eaton.
That was in the bottom of the 11th. Hosmer, Rios, Infante, his 8th appearance since being named closer.
Blue Jays just don't get those save opportunities. They are either blowing the other teams out or they're behind. They just don't have those chances. They only had 14 saves this year, which is last in the American League, but they do have the best strikeout to walk ratio of relief pitchers in the American League, first at 3-1.
Pitch down and in, and the count now 3-1. Of those 8 appearances, 4 were save opportunities. As you mentioned, just not that many to be had. Hosmer hitless, and there's a strike. Broken back, ground ball, Smoke. Underhand toss to Osuna, and there's one away. This is a Kansas City team that's won 51 games, and they've had some magic as of late happen for them. Paulo Orlando this past Tuesday had a grand slam walk-off home run against Tampa. You just don't want to mess around with the Royals.
How many have they won in a row coming into today?
6.
Blue Jays look like they're going to stop that. They had a 7-game win streak earlier this season. They were trying to duplicate that this afternoon.
That was to start the year. 2 outs away for Mark Burley to capture his 10th victory of the season. Alex Rios gets underneath this one. Carrera calls for it, and there are 2 down here in the bottom of the 9th inning.
He's got that easy motion, Roberto Osuna. Easy cheese, as they call it. Ball gets on top of you quickly.
Got the selfie going. He didn't like that one, so he's going to do it again. Let me see. Yeah. All right. Wait. What? Wait a minute.
Who invented the selfie stick?
I don't know, but there you go. Yep. That's a better look. I guess you got to have one.
Yeah, post it.
You don't have a selfie stick, do you?
No.
I didn't.
No. I don't know what I do with it.
You come on, you take pictures of us up here in the booth as Infante swings and misses, and all the fans that you meet along the way. Autographs.
I'll let our cameramen take pictures
Take care
of us.
of that.
Thank you very much.
Well, this is going to feel good for the Blue Jays. On it, what has developed into a tough road trip. The Blue Jays are 1 out, 1 strike away from picking up their 45th win and taking one from the Kansas City Royals. Infante awaits, swing and a miss, and got him. Mark Burley the winner, and the Blue Jays end a 6-game win streak for the Kansas City Royals.
And they needed this one right here, and it had to start with Burley on the mound, and he did that. You know what also came back for the Blue Jays? The home run ball.